What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Chris, man. We're back here for the Work Hard, Play Hard podcast, Conversations with CD. It's episode 6. My girl, Lyndsey D, is coming on. She's coming on. This Arcangelo. She is a sports writer. She's also an award-winning author. She is from Buffalo. She writes for The Athletic now, covers mainly both WNBA and college women basketball. We're going to have some fun with her today, baby. She's hopping on a long history career over 18 years. We're going to talk about some things. Here she goes.
Hey,
Hey, Lyndsey, what's going on? How we doing?
good. How have you been?
I've been good. Long time no see. What's good with you?
Not much. Just doing WNBA stuff, stuff with the
Mm-hmm.
book.
And we definitely gonna get into that for sure. I see you repping Buffalo Bills. I like it. I like it. Um, yes, indeed. I appreciate you coming on. I really do. Once again, it's good to see you again and talk to you. Welcome to the podcast. Work hard, play harder. Conversations with CD. Um, Buffalo native. As you repping the hat. You are from Buffalo. I would love for you to talk about your childhood, talk about growing up and how you got into sports and wanted to become a sports writer and growing up in Buffalo. How was that?
Yeah, Buffalo is a great area. There's a lot of, it's not really all that known outside of Western New York because it is a small city,
It is.
and we're known for snow and chicken wings, pretty much. And four lost Super Bowls, unfortunately.
In a row.
Um,
That's true.
right in a row. But yeah, it's a great city. Like I said, it's a small town city, so everybody knows everybody, and there's a bond here that is hard to explain. It's just a great place to grow up and raise a family, and I'm thankful that this is where I grew up. As far as how I got into sports, I have two brothers, an older brother and a twin brother, and
Mhm.
and they were my playmates growing up, and I just kind of hung around with them, and we played every sport imaginable, um, tackle football in the yard, and
Right.
anything really. And I got into soccer at a young age and was always on my twin brother's team, because we got into it together. And I got into basketball a little later. I want to say like ninth grade, just because soccer was my main sport.
Right.
But yeah, I always loved sports. I love playing sports. I love watching sports with my brothers and my dad. And my father had season tickets to the Bills for many, many years. So I got to go to a bunch of games, and that's where my fandom began. Um, so definitely grew up just watching, playing sports, and um, I actually never even thought of being a sports writer, to be
Mm.
honest with you. My mother always said I should. That should be something I should, because I was always into writing and sports, but I never thought of putting the two together.
Right.
And it wasn't until later on in my life that it sort of my path took me down that road.
No, I love it. I've been to Buffalo a few times. I told you my family lives in Rochester, which is about 45 minutes, an hour away from Buffalo. Um, and yeah, it's cold. It's cold there in the fall and winter for sure. And you're right, the wings there are something different. There ain't no doubt about it. Good chicken wings there. So it is a great place to grow up and a great place to be at for sure. And that's a great childhood memories of you playing with your twin brother in soccer. I'm certainly happy that you got into sports writing because you're very good at it. That's for sure. Um,
No,
you
thank you.
went to Randolph Mason College, which is in Ashland, Virginia. Ashland, Virginia. The question I want to
Mhm.
ask you is that were there any other choices that you wanted to go attend school, and what did you learn from there that you kind of applied to your job now?
Well, looking back, I didn't really go to school for what I'm doing now. And
Right,
that probably should have been an important factor. But when I was growing up and graduating high school, we were of the mindset that that's what you did. You just went to college.
right.
Now there's more of an aspect of figuring out what you want to do, maybe take some time off, or really, really figuring that out before you actually go to college.
Mm.
But we were just kind of told that's what you do. And I knew I wanted to get out of Buffalo for a little bit and sort of do my own thing and experience something outside of this area. And my aunt had gone to Randolph-Macon. It's a very small school,
Yes.
and I visited it one summer. I think it was my junior year, the summer of my junior year, and I just fell in love with it. Small campus, 1,100 kids, maybe half of that who actually lived on campus, probably even less. It just had a nice familiar feel to it. I love the architecture. It was built in the um, early 1800s, so there's a lot of history with the campus, and I just got a good vibe from it. I didn't pick it because of writing or journalism. I picked it just because it felt right.
So right. So good.
So
Okay.
what I learned, yeah, yeah, and what I learned there, I actually started off as a history major because
Okay.
again, I didn't really know I could make a career out of writing. I didn't know that I could involve my love of sports with that. I didn't really have a lot of exposure to that or even how somebody did that, you know?
Right.
So it was just something I had to find my own way on and figure out. And I started off as a history major. And then my junior year, I switched to English creative writing. And I took one journalism class my entire time there. And I got a C in it.
Okay.
So that should tell you, like, that doesn't always matter. At first I kind of wanted to, just write novels and be that kind of a writer. So that's kind of the path I was on when I graduated. I really didn't know what kind of writing I was gonna do or wanted to do. I just knew that it was something I was good at and probably something I should figure out.
Absolutely. I like that. I like the fact that you saw that school. Yeah, your aunt went there. You was like, that's the school for me. It fits me. It's perfect. It's not a huge school. I think they're up to 1,600 now, as far as their, as far as what they, admission and stuff like that. So, yeah, I didn't even know where Ashland, Virginia was. I had to kind of Google that because I was like, where is that at? But but it's pretty cool. It's pretty awesome that you did that. And it also goes to show you that you don't have to take a traditional route to get into this business. That's the main thing that I got out of that, is that there's different ways that you can get in, and then everybody has a story that's different, and that's true, no doubt. I'm going to ask you some of your
Yeah,
favorite things.
that's an important point.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I want to ask you some of your favorite things now. Favorite food.
Oh, my favorite food. Gosh, it varies. So, I have always loved chicken parm, though. That's probably something I will always love.
Chicken farm. Okay. Favorite music.
R&B, hands down.
All right. I like
But
it.
I'm talking 90s, early 2000s R&B.
So are we talking like Brian McKnight,
Oh
Tyrese?
yeah. Yes.
No. Okay. We talking that. Okay. Cool. Cool. Cool.
Yes.
I
Boys
like
to
that.
Men. Boys to Men is my favorite group of all
Boys
time.
to Men. Yeah, they're very good too. Okay. Okay. Favorite genre of movies.
Um, hmm. I I I'm all over the map. I'll do a romantic comedy. I like thrillers. I like action flicks. The only one that I don't do, we'll do it that way. What I don't like is horror. Can't do the horror. Can't do it.
Most people can't. Most people can't. So I'm guessing you're not going to see the new Star.
No, no. I can't even. I can't even. I don't think I've seen one of them. Yeah, no. I can't. I tried watching, just to give you an example, I tried watching American Horror Story,
Oh, wow.
one episode. And of course, it was in October around Halloween. And I don't know, I was curious. And
Right.
it just took
Right.
one episode for me to be like, nope,
That's
I'm
not
good.
you. I
Nope.
got you. I got you. Okay. Favorite ice cream.
Favorite ice cream.
Yes.
So I've always been a cookie dough fan.
Okay, talk to me.
So that would definitely be up there. But there is there's a ice cream up here called sponge candy, and now sponge candy is something that's unique to Buffalo.
Okay.
In fact, you need to give me your address and I'll send you some because it is amazing. It's just like it's caramelized sugar covered in chocolate in a square.
Ooh.
And what the ice cream that they make up here, there's an ice cream company that's based in West New York called Perry's, and they make vanilla ice cream with sponge candy pieces mixed in with layers of caramel. So
Okay.
good.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah.
You best believe I'm gonna give you that 411. That's for sure. No doubt. Favorite restaurant?
Favorite restaurant? Well, my favorite restaurant unfortunately closed. It was called Tina's, and it was an Italian restaurant, and they made the best in Parm ever.
Yeah. Right. Okay. All right. Last favorite. This is favorite alcoholic drink.
Favorite alcoholic drink? Right now it's wine. It's red wine. That's I like sipping on some red wine. That's my go-to.
I'm a very good red wine person. It got to be the right mood for me. But I do like my hen. I do like my Tito's. I do like my Ciroc as well. But and my Dulce. My Dulce is pretty good too. I like those. So you know.
Yeah, I'll sip on whiskey too. Whiskey neat. I started doing that a couple years ago. I really like just that ease of which old fashions. I can do an old fashioned too.
Old fashioned. I like that. That's what's up. Okay, I like that. I like that. Now, you're an award-winning author that has wrote several books, from The Trouble with Emily Dickerson, Queenie McBride, The Crabapple Tree, and Maggie's Adventure. So can you talk about the inspiration behind writing those books for adults and children?
Yeah, so I wrote those a while ago. I want to say The Trouble with Emily Dickinson came out in 2008, and I was at a point where I was still doing a lot of fiction, and I wanted to just get my first fiction book published. And that story is basically it has the two main characters are lesbians, and they're out and comfortable with themselves, and I just wanted to write a story that kids that I didn't have growing up, that teenagers, young adults could read, where people were comfortable in their own skin and just were living their lives, and the story kind of revolves around that. So that was my focus and goal with that. And it was an interesting process. My first foray into the publishing world. I learned some hard lessons, learned some good lessons. Well, they were all good lessons, but some of them were hard lessons to learn.
Right.
It was published with like a mid-sized publisher, so no, it wasn't major, but it was enough that I got like I said, a taste of the publishing process, and I learned a lot. And it was a time when I was really just into fiction, and that's where my mindset was at. And it has flip-flopped since. Now I'm doing more sports writing, and actually haven't written fiction in a long time. But
no, that's cool. I mean, it's cool to write those books, though. That's awesome. How long did it take you to write those particular books?
Well, those stories I did in probably about 3 months from when I started to end. They took about 3 months. The first two you mentioned, the Crabapple Tree, I think was maybe 4, just because it was a little longer. And then the book about my daughter, that I did that in a day, because it's just this little short little story / coloring book thing. That was more of like just a fun project. They were fun, creative outlets for me, and like I said, it gave me a taste of going the fiction route.
Absolutely. I definitely would love to read, because I know that the Trouble with Emily Dickinson and the Queenie McBride, those two correlate together, because it's like a sequel, it's a part one.
Yep.
I would love to read those two books. That's for sure. So I'm on the lookout trying to find where I can cop those. If you can tell me where I can get those, that'd be great. That'd be awesome. I'm always looking for new reading material, that's for sure. Now, you went from the Springville Journal, and you are also at the Buffalo News. You was at those two publications as two different roles. Can you talk about your experiences there before deciding to go the freelance route?
Yeah, so after I graduated from Randolph-Macon, I went and lived in Boston, Massachusetts for a couple years. Had some odd writing jobs, like different kinds of writing jobs, and decided to move back home because I missed Buffalo, and I wasn't really tied to Boston. And when I got home, I got my first sports writing job with the Springfield Journal, which was a weekly paper covering high school sports. So that was a nice taste of just what that was like. And it didn't pay a lot though. That was the hard part.
Yeah.
It was something I couldn't stay at just because the pay was so small. But I really enjoyed, and I learned again. I learned a lot. And then I had mentioned my twin brother before. He was working at the Buffalo News as a sales rep in the advertising floor.
Right.
And he got my foot in the door there. I was looking for a job. I got my foot in the door as a administrative assistant for him, which was odd, having to work for your brother for a little while. But
Right.
I just kind of kept my head down. I'd go down to the editorial floor and drop my resume off. I'd hang with the sports guys there and just, network, familiarize myself with them. And actually, some of them have remained good friends of mine. But eventually, a job opened up as a copywriter for the advertising floor, and they knew my writing background and asked me if I was interested, and I said yes. So I switched over to that, and I did copywriting for about 5 years, which is just a different kind of writing altogether. And that's when I started freelancing on the side, doing articles and stuff for different publications, print, all print. And eventually I got to a point where I realized I didn't want to be a copywriter my entire life.
Right.
I wanted to do more article writing. I was really enjoying that. And I had gotten in with some national publications and just decided to take the leap. So after 5 years at the News in 2009, I left to freelance full time. I felt like it was one of those things, right? If I didn't do it then I would never do it.
Right.
And it's been how many years now?
09, that'd be 12 years.
12 years now. So over a decade since I left. And we can say that it worked out pretty well.
I would say so too. I would say so too, man. You definitely worked out pretty well. Right? It's one of those decisions where if not now, when? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and you made the leap, and yes, you've been doing very well ever since. In this industry, how do you deal with the tough days and be able to still produce content? And you know what I mean is that, this industry can burn you out. You also can, like I said, go without seeing family for a long time. A lot of people don't, when they get into this industry, they don't understand it because they're looking at it from the outside looking in. But how do you deal with the tough days? What gets you past those?
Well, freelancing is hard because you're constantly pitching stories, and then once those stories publish, you can enjoy them for like a split second, and then you're on to the next. You're constantly trying to figure out what's next, and it's a grind. And I did that for a while until actually in 2018 when I was hired at The Athletic. That gave me a chance to pause and just work for them. And even though I'm not full-time staff, I still was I was getting enough work, and I had in my contract I had to do so many articles per month, and it was enough. It was enough where I felt like I didn't have to freelance anymore. I could just focus on my work for The Athletic.
Right.
Which also helped when I started writing my book that's coming out.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that
in November. So that gave me the freedom to do that. It gave me stability and a paycheck, a steady paycheck, and I love that. So I was glad to take a break. And I don't know that I want to get back into the freelancing. I just signed a contract to work for Just Women's Sports, which is another site that has popped up lately, and it's being funded by a bunch of different athletes: Kevin Durant, Arike Ngubale, a bunch of people that
awesome.
I'm thrilled to be a part of it. So that's another contract job. So I have steady work, and that makes a difference because freelance is such a grind. It's stressful. It's not for the faint of heart. It's
Right.
rewarding, but at the same time, it's just something that you always have to keep at, and it can burn you out really quickly.
Absolutely. And that's why I definitely asked that question. And this follow-up question that I would ask is, for anybody that wants to get into this business, what is one thing that you would tell them that is not so obviously, for them to know about getting into this business of sports writing that they should know?
Networking is huge. Just reaching out to people who've been doing this for a long time. If someone like retweets an article of yours, connect with them. There are so many people that I've met in this business, and everyone is willing to help each other. I mean, I've never come across anyone who hasn't. And then you turn around, you pay it forward. But yeah, networking is a huge part of it. I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't, connect with certain people who then helped or put my name in to get certain opportunities, or passed my name along to an editor, or something like that.
Absolutely.
It's a huge part.
Networking is definitely key. That's why I try to do it a lot. I try to also put the work in as well. Networking is good, but you got to also show that you can do the work as well. But yeah, networking is definitely key. And networking with all types of people as well, not just people that you're familiar with what you do as far as writing. You want to learn different roles and learn different people, because you never know what may intrigue you down the line. Different things, like you said, with the freelancing, the copywriter. Now you was able to get off freelance, go to the Athletic, and the Athletic is such a big thing. Everybody reads the Athletic, so to do that, and now you just signed on with something else with just women's sports. So it's just amazing what you can do with the networking possibilities. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt.
Yeah, it's about connections. Keep those connections that you make.
Absolutely. Now we are going to do this or that. Okay. So you just pick one or the other. I'm just going to throw it out there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Burgers or tacos? Oh, burgers or tacos?
Burgers.
Gotcha. Drive-ins or theaters?
Theaters.
Okay. MJ or LeBron?
MJ.
Brady or Montana?
Montana. Only because I'm a Bills fan and I can't stand Brady. Disclaimer.
Okay. Got you. Jim Kelly or Josh Allen?
Ooh. You know what? I'll be honest. I want to go with Josh Allen just because I think the ceiling is higher for Josh. And I like I like everything about him. There were aspects of Kelly when he first got here that were ugly and not, he was a very conceited dude. He's not the dude that you see today. He obviously evolved, which is great.
Right.
But I'm gonna have to go with Josh.
Okay. And mind you, I have Buffalo Rams as my Super Bowl pick. I think Buffalo wins the AFC this year. I think they're just right there. To me, I think what they needed was last year, that maturing part, getting to the AFC Championship. But I think they get over the hump this year and they get to the Super Bowl, which I'm not just saying
that's not a bad pick, and I hope you're right.
Yes, I think they get there. That's for sure. All right, we have this or that: pizza or nachos?
Pizza.
Basketball or baseball?
Basketball.
Two more: Popeyes or KFC?
I've never had Popeyes.
What?
I've never had. They don't have them around here. They don't have them around here. They just put one up near us, and I don't do fast food, to be honest with you.
Okay, I'll take that. But Lyndsey, come on now. I'll be in the Rochester. I'm not gonna be in the Buffalo, but I'll be in the Rochester area in August. Okay, I'm trying to tell you, if we take a trip to Buffalo, I promise I'm gonna hit you up. We're gonna do some Popeyes. That's for sure.
Okay.
All right. That's for sure.
Okay.
We're gonna try something. So I guess KFC will be your answer since you've had that before.
Well, if you take me to Popeyes, if we go to Popeyes, and I'll make sure I'll get you some sponge candy to take
Okay,
home with you.
please. That sounds good to me. That sounds great to me. Now, this is a very, very important one. It's the last one of this or that. Okay. Now, you're either gonna have Bruce Smith or Reggie White.
Bruce Smith.
Now, you're not just being a homer on that one, are you?
No, well, okay, yeah, there is some of that, of course. There is, but no, I mean, he, as people say, he was a bad man. You know, I mean,
What?
he
He was.
he's one of the greatest defensive ends of all time.
That he is. I cannot tell a lie on that one. He's definitely one of the best of all time for sure. Getting to the Athletic. Now, you said in 2018 you signed on with the Athletic. How did that opportunity come about?
Well, again, I mean, it came from networking. A guy that I know here, his name is Tim Graham. He worked for ESPN and then writes about the Bills for the Athletic now. But he also worked for the Buffalo News. And when he left the News, it was right before the Athletic started in Buffalo, and he got word that they were starting it, and they asked him to come on. So he signed on, and then it did so well that a month later they asked him if he knew anybody else that they could bring on as contributors, because they wanted to add more to the staff, and he gave them my name. So that's just one of the things why I say that networking and connecting is so important, because, you know, obviously I had to nail the interview, and I had to produce the work, like you said.
Right.
But he helped get my name in the door.
I like that. And now, obviously, for the Athletic, once again, you're covering the WNBA. You're also covering college women's basketball, if I'm not mistaken, for those two predominantly. And that's a great segue, baby. Let's get into some WNBA talk and also some college women's basketball talk. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Stanford won this past national championship playing against Arizona, which Arizona messed up my bracket because I had UConn in the finals. But
they messed up a lot of people's brackets.
They did, but that's okay because there was a girl named Ari who was absolutely balling, and you know she did her thing. Talk about Stanford as the. Do you think they're gonna repeat? Are they a powerhouse now? Also, the move that Kim Mulkey made, leaving Baylor to go to LSU. How do you think that move was?
I think. So I'll answer the Stanford question first. I mean, Stanford, yeah, they'll still be in the running next year. They still have a lot of good players, you know, on that roster, and they'll definitely be in the Final Four conversation, no doubt. I think that game could have gone either way, though. I mean, it came down to a last shot.
It did.
And Arizona was missing a lot of free throws down the stretch.
Yep.
It just and that really could have been the difference in the game. It just was so close. You know, but as far as who Stanford still has, you know, on their roster, they'll definitely be in the conversation next year. As far as Mulkey, I was shocked that.
So was I.
I mean, she built that program, and that's the kind of thing where you stay and you just ride it out and you enjoy the fruits of your labor, and you've got recruiting as a no thing. You know, you don't have to. You could just. I mean, your name and the school itself carries weight, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, but I think there was a lot of ego involved in her move. Not only the fact that she's going home, I can understand that aspect, but I think she maybe felt slighted for a couple of things that had recently happened.
Right.
As far as maybe not feeling like she was getting the respect or that she deserves for building up that program and for bringing Baylor into the national spotlight for women's basketball and just, you know, for athletics in general. I mean, you have football, you have men's basketball, and you have women's basketball. They're like the three pillars now at Baylor. Right. And she helped do that. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, LSU does not have a strong basketball program. They haven't for years. I don't know how long the rebuild process is going to take. She has her name and her resume which will get recruits. But I think it's going to take a couple seasons before that really comes through, and we could see that happening. So
yeah, I don't see Dawn Staley over in the SEC falling off anytime with her team. Her teams have always been pretty solid, pretty good. Although they're in the East and she's in the West with LSU, and she is a Louisiana native. I get that too. But at the same time, like you said, it may have been some underlying factors also in that decision for her to move. I totally understand about the Stanford talk that you're talking about. I love Tara Vanderveer. I just love her as a coach. I did. She's one of my 4 favorite coaches of all time in the women's game, for real. And I love the way that she coaches. I think Stanford's going to be a good team, but I also think Arizona's going to be back too. Yes, they did lose Ari, but I think they're going to be back as well because Adia has definitely started to make, or Coach Barnes, I should call it, is definitely going to make a name for herself as well. Now, WNBA-wise, there's been some exciting games in these first few games. You know what I mean? Sabrina Ionescu got a triple-double the other night. She also hit a game winner as well. 2 exciting games between Las Vegas and Seattle. Obviously, many people are picking Vegas as the team to come out and be the champion this year. Seattle's the defending champion. So, to me, my favorite team has always been the Mercury. Now, I'm a Phoenix Mercury type guy.
Same.
I love Griner, love Taurasi, and I also love Diggs. That 3-headed monster, they can be a surprise, I think, in that in the WNBA for sure. But talk to me also, who do you think some other possible surprise teams could be, or some players to watch for as well?
Yeah, just real quickly, I love the Mercury too. I've always been a Mercury fan ever since the league started. So they will always have a soft spot in my heart. I'm a huge Taurasi fan. I've never shied away from saying that, so that's also a factor. But yeah, I picked Vegas to win it all. I think just from top to bottom, they have such a sound team, and then you saw actually when they played Seattle the second time, them just really they got into their groove, and it was just it was they just ran away with the game. But surprise teams, I really like what New York has done so far. I know they played Indiana twice, and Indiana's kind of like a hot mess right now.
Outside of Kelsey Mitchell, they really don't have much.
Yeah, their roster is a puzzle to me. And what they did in the draft is a puzzle to me. But so there's that factor. But then New York also beat the Lynx, so that was a nice win. Yeah, and they're playing team basketball. So I really like what I've seen out of them. But my dark horse team is the Dallas Wings. I just really like their roster. I think they're flying under the radar a little bit. I think Alicia Gray is the most underrated player in the WNBA, and what she can do. And they're my dark horse team of the summer.
I like Agumake too. I believe Agumake's on that team as well. She led the league in scoring last year. So
Ogunbowale.
Sorry about that. Yes, Agumake is on for the Sparks. That's right.
Yep.
Yes. But yes, I think she's one of the best players out there too. I like DC as well. I do like DC, but they are a dark horse to me. But I think Tina Charles, with Del Don, I think that could be a great dynamic if they can get that team rolling and get that team going. They could be a dark horse as well. But my eyes obviously are on the big Chicago Sky. Could be a team too that can actually make some noise. With the addition of Candace Parker, that team's a little bit different. I think that they can obviously make some noise as well. So it'd be interesting to see. But I'm already liking the season, what I like so far. Pretty good game so far. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about your new book. You mentioned it. It comes out November 2021. It's Hail Mary, The Rise and Fall of the Women's Football League. Can you talk about, once again, how long did it take to write this book and what inspired you to write it?
Well, I have a co-writer, and from the process when we started pitching the idea and writing the book proposal to the time to where we are now, it's been 3 years.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's average. You need to, for nonfiction books, you need to write the proposal a book proposal. You need an agent to help pitch it to publishers, to shop it around. And then when publishers come back, whether one shows interest or a handful, then you have to figure out who you want to go with. And then the book deal. I mean, all of this takes time.
Right.
And the book deal gets signed, and then you're given the green light to start writing. But first you have to do all the research, and then you start writing, and then it goes through editing process. So it's a long process. But what inspired us was my co-writer Brittany and I decided to write a book on women in football. And at first we were going to do just a general overlay of women in football, the history, women playing, women coaching, women analyzing, reffing, everything, every aspect you could possibly think of. But it was too broad, and we needed to narrow our focus down. That was the feedback we were getting from publishers. And Brittany found some information about this league, the National Women's Football League from the 70s, and said, I think this is where we need to focus, because we could talk about the history, we could talk about the legacy, but nobody knows this league existed. So that's what we decided to do, and it's just been a great journey. And I can't wait for it to be out and for people to read it.
I can't wait for it either, because I had no idea about a women's football league at all. And like you said, nobody really knew about it. And I'm excited to grab me a copy. I'm going to try to run to a Barnes & Noble and try to grab a copy of something. I'm not sure where it's going to be at, but wherever it is, I'm going to try to run and get me a copy for sure. Because the only women's football...
it'll be everywhere.
Okay, it'll be everywhere. Okay, so yeah, the only women's football league I knew about was the Atlanta Steam. And that was kind of like, that was more, so they're not wearing many clothes as far as the football league. Yeah, right. So those are the only leagues that I knew about that women played really like that. So this will be an interesting read, especially being back in the 70s. So that's for sure. Is there anything else that you want to add as far as being in this industry, once again, that people need to know outside of just networking? Because like I said, people love sports. People love writing. There's different roles, but people love sports writing in particularly. And what do they need to know out of your mindset, that before they hop into it, to be sure, 100% sure this is the profession that they want to pursue?
Geez, that's a great question. That it's something they love to do, because it's not the kind of industry you're going to go in and get rich off of. I mean, the Mina Kimes of the world are in the 1%,
Yeah.
There's a lot of writers, but not a lot of personality to become a personality like that.
Right.
Get in it for the love of sports and the love of telling stories about these athletes, and in whatever capacity. I mean, that's really what makes you stay in it. And just seeing a story come out and people responding to it and in a way that you had hoped is that's another aspect that keeps you in it as well.
I like that. I do. I like that. Make sure that you love it, y'all. There's no doubt. Well, Lyndsey, I appreciate you hopping on to the podcast of mine, talking a little sports, talking some of your books. Make sure people, obviously it's not coming out till later this year, but it's Hail Mary, the rise and fall of the Women's Football League. Is coming out November of 21 of this year. So y'all make sure y'all go cop a copy of that book, because she's incredible at writing, no doubt about it. And where can they follow you as far as your social media platforms?
Yeah, mostly really on Twitter is where I'm most present, and it's Darcangel21, DARCANGEL 21.
I love it. I'm gonna keep following you for sure, and I'll be waiting on that vanilla. That's for sure. and absolutely. You enjoy the rest of your Thursday afternoon. Thank you so much, Lyndsey. Please stay in touch as you normally do, and enjoy your day.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate you.
No problem. Appreciate you. Take care.